The world can be a dangerous place. Gear up with the industry's original and most trusted laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. Equipping your firearm with laser and light systems will enhance your effectiveness and help keep you and your family out of harm's way. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com and receive a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge. Crimson Trace.
It's Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, where all the women are fast, all the men are accurate, and all the children are aware of their muzzles.
Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. Our number here is 866-825-5486. If you just joined us, we're talking about, well, I've got several things going at once, actually. We have a rolling thunder, if you will, repressive gun control laws being passed in several different states, Colorado, Connecticut, Maryland. The governor will sign the Maryland bill this coming week. And as if all that isn't enough, the U.S. Senate will take up either this week or next week, very possibly this week, the gun control measures, the Dianne Feinstein semi-automatic rifle ban. That won't be included in the package that Harry Reid brings to the floor, but it is going to be allowed to be brought up as an amendment, so there will be a separate vote on that. But here's the thing to understand. All along, the plan was, imagine you can reach left and right. You got about a 6-foot reach left and right. And right in the middle is where we are now. And the ban on semi-automatic rifles, what they love to call the assault weapons ban, well, they reached out way out to the left side and stuck a stake in the ground. And knowing that they're not going to get it, but they want you to look at that, and that becomes the thing you talk about. And then they say, well, tell you what, let's compromise on this. Let's have maybe just a ban on some magazines, or maybe just a ban on the private sale of guns. We'll compromise on that. Why can't you just compromise? What they've done is by staking out that very radical position. Now, trust me, they would love it if they could get it. But part of the philosophy is we're going to stake that ground out, and then as we come back from it, well, maybe we can get something else. And they call that a compromise. But understand, all we've moved is from between where we are right now, right in front of you, and way out to the left. We've moved to lose gun rights. Generally, a compromise is I get something, you get something. Or maybe you lose something, I lose something, if you prefer. So anytime someone says, well, can't you just compromise with me? I say, well, sure, what's in it for me? What do we get out of it? How many of the current gun laws are you going to repeal? Because they don't work, of course. Well, that's not their view of compromise. Their view of compromise is they don't get all the gun bans that they want. They don't get to melt down every gun in the nation yet. So they only get part of the gun bans they want now. So they're compromising in not getting everything they want, and we're compromising in not letting them destroy the Constitution all at one time. Interesting. Tell you what, right now everything is spinning very quickly, and Connecticut just passed some really bad laws. Joining us to talk about that right now is Rich Burgess. He's the president of Connecticut Carry. Hey, Rich, how are you?
I'm doing good, Tom.
Not good times up there. If you would, and I know it's not easy, but can you explain to people who may not have been paying attention exactly, kind of in a nutshell, what was done, what was passed in Connecticut?
Sure. We wish we were standing on a hilltop declaring victory, but we got overrun at the last minute here. We spent a lot of time. We had thousands of people show up at the Capitals. We did a great job of really rallying people together and telling them that, this legislation wasn't going to pass and that, we were solid in our commitments. But at the last minute, they decided to do what was called an emergency certification. And we have to remember that the Newtown massacre in Connecticut was in December. I believe it was December 14th or 15th.
Isn't that what they did? That's what they did in New York. Didn't they declare it an emergency? We just don't even have time enough to debate this in public.
Right, but they thought they were going to get it through before that, through the normal legislative process.
Okay.
And we shut them down at every pass they came to. And so now here it is in April. April 1st is when they made their first proposal for the emergency certification. And in April they decided that they were going to do an emergency certification. And we're all still scratching our heads wondering what the emergency is.
So what does that mean?
So it means that we now have one of the nation's worst assault weapons bans on the books. We have magazine bans of 10 rounds or less. We have ammunition permits, long gun permits, pistol permits. I mean, there's quite a bit to this bill, and there's a lot of obtrusive mental health issues as well.
Fingerprinting?
Oh, yes, fingerprinting for just about everything except for the ammunition portion, I believe.
A gun offender registry?
A gun offender registry. I mean, that's a little scary, but it seems like the least of our problems these days.
So what that means is if they catch you with a magazine that holds more ammunition than they think you should, you could possibly go on the gun offender registry, like a sex offender registry?
It's possible, and I'll tell you, they actually put some areas in the law that are kind of interesting because they have things like the first offense for many of these crimes is an infraction, and then the second offense is a Class B or Class C felony. And then all of a sudden they also have these particular 2-year probation programs that are similar to like an accelerated rehab program. And you can really get the idea that they know that they're going to be tripping up a lot of good, law-abiding people.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, we know the criminals aren't going to pay attention to it anyway, so the only people this is aimed at is the good law-abiding people. Go back for a minute to that whole emergency declaration thing. How did that change everything? What are they able to do once they get that declaration in?
Well, I can't be an expert in the entire emergency certification process, but I can tell you how it happened. We had a bill proposed, which was the entire comprehensive 138-page bill. It was proposed on April 1st. Both houses voted on it on April 3rd, and the governor signed it on April 4th with no public hearing, no input from the public, no way to do anything except, brace yourselves.
Right. I mean, so it cuts out the necessity for public hearings. So I guess the question is, so you got to assume at this point that there are people and groups planning to challenge those actions in court. What are you hearing?
Well, we definitely plan to. I mean, Connecticut Carry was founded on the idea of litigation against these things, but we also need to remember that Connecticut's not well equipped in the case law category and in the organizational category to be challenging things outright and facially. They obviously spent quite a bit of time trying to put these laws together to make it a little bit more difficult for us to really carve out common use and dangerous and unusual weapons per Heller, McDonald, and Miller. So we're going to have our work ahead of us, and it's going to take years. I know a lot of people here really want to push through with legislation or litigation and really try to hammer it home, but this isn't going to be an easy fight.
In Colorado, of course, Magpul announced that they're going to pull out. In Maryland, Beretta has said, if you pass this law, we're going to leave. Connecticut is pretty much the heart of firearms manufacturing in the United States, with many of the major companies located there. What are you hearing on that front?
Well, we're very upset about it. I mean, we have Colt, we have Mossberg, we have Stag Arms. We have a number of others as well, magazine manufacturers who now can't sell their own stuff in Connecticut. And these companies have mentioned in the past that they're willing to leave if this goes through. We certainly hope they don't. I mean, we have to remember that we have to live here in Connecticut, and we really don't want to see good manufacturing jobs leave this state, but we certainly can't blame them if they leave.
Just thinking about the public there, and I mean, I know how the media becomes not reporters, but complete advocates for the gun ban movement. And that's all this is. It's just part of the gun ban movement. Were you able to get any kind of traction in the media with your message?
We had a few allies in this. Maybe not allies. Maybe that's not the best word. But we certainly had some media outlets that helped us and ran some halfway fair pieces. But we also had our fair share of people who were willing to capitalize on the tragedy and to really just hammer home points that were not truthful at all. And when called out on it, they would just basically, wag their tongue at us and say, "What are you going to do about it?" And
that's the whole thing. They said, we can do whatever we want to, and there's nothing you can do. So having just recently been through this and essentially been steamrolled in the legislature by the governor, if you were to talk to people in other states who are facing the same kind of thing, you have any advice?
I would say don't get complacent. Get out there, support your state-level organizations. I love the people who support NRA and Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America. But really, find your state-level organization, because they're the people on the ground. They're the people who are going to get the feet in the door at the Capitol. They're the ones going to be talking to your legislators. Really get out there and make an active commitment to them. It's not just money, it's time. Everybody needs donations, but we all need to really get in there and hand out pamphlets, talk to people. That's how the grassroots works.
That's how it works, and I applaud you for saying that, because I'm telling you, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where it happens. And frankly, that's where your U.S. senators, U.S. Congress people come from. They come from the legislature. So you pick the good ones on the lower level, and then you work hard with them, you educate them, and you make them understand, hey, we will support you if you're with us, and we will hound you and oppose you if you're against us. Rich, thank you. Look, keep us posted on the progress and anything that's going on there, would you?
We will. Thank you very much, Tom.
All right, thanks so much. That's Rich Burgess. He's the president of Connecticut Carry. You can go to ctcarry.com to find out what's going on there. So I guess the question is it time for you to get involved in your state? And you're thinking, yeah, we don't have those problems here. Trust me, you do. There are people right now in your state, I don't care where you live, working to put these exact same kind of regulations in at your state. You got to stop it before it starts, because this stuff can and does become a steamroller. We've seen it in Colorado. We've seen it in Colorado, Connecticut, and Maryland. And maybe coming to your state. 866-TALK-GUNS. 866-TALK-GUNS.